After 23 days at sea, we are now so close to the land that we can see it and smell it. Yet we still have a few hoops to jump through before we can explore these paradise islands. Arriving on your own boat is not quite as straightforward as arriving by plane.
We are Matt and Amy. We've been living aboard and sailing around the world for 5 years now on our 37-foot sailboat, Florence.
Having sailed 3,044 miles non-stop to get from West Sumatra in Indonesia to the quarantine anchorage here in Seychelles, we now need to negotiate the checking in process before we can explore the wonders of yet another new country. First up is a visit from the health authorities.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You must be Florence.
Yeah, I'm Amy and this is Matt.
I thought you were Florence.
Everybody calls us Florence, we answer to Florence.
Okay. So I'm Kenny from the Public Health Office. I'm here for the inspection for your health clearance.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. I've heard you spend more than 23 days at sea.
Yes.
You have your port clearance with you? Yes. Port clearance?
The health questionnaire is fairly standard in most of the countries we have visited recently, often including the question, has anybody died on board during your passage? The difference here is that we have to pay 3,000 Seychelles rupees for the boat to bring the official out to Florence, instead of going alongside a dock or going ashore to their offices.
You have to bring along your passport as well and all your documents for clearance at the custom as well.
Yeah, okay.
So in public, you have to wear the mask.
Yep.
Okay? Probably you will remove it when in the restaurant or something, but in public you have to wear the mask. Okay. This is your health clearance.
Thank you very much.
That's the first part of clearing into the country sorted. That was our health clearance, which was pretty straightforward. But now we need to go into the main harbour and we can go ashore and complete all of the other formalities in the offices there. For the last 23 days, our senses have been limited to the sights, sounds and smells of our boat and the vast ocean desert. Now as we approach land, it's both exciting and a little overwhelming. Suddenly everything around us has changed. Even the water beneath us has changed from a deep indigo to a vibrant turquoise. From 4,000 metres deep to
6 meters. Okay. Okay, you can reverse on that.
It is always exciting to set foot in a new country for the first time. After so long in a remote part of Indonesia, the sight of a modern marina was a relief. With all these yachts, there must be places that we can buy the parts we need for Florence, parts that were unavailable in Indonesia.
After so long not walking further than a couple of metres at a time, all whilst having to hold on, we now have a brisk 4-kilometre walk ahead of us to get to the checkout offices before they close. Like many things in Seychelles, a taxi is well outside our budget.
We have just arrived by international yacht from Indonesia. We had our health clearance this morning.
We need to fill out this form, the blue one.
As British passport holders, we are lucky to be allowed a 3-month visa on arrival for free. Next up, customs.
Unfortunately, Florence isn't so lucky. She only gets a month free with customs before we need to temporarily import her. And it's mandatory to pay an agent as part of that process.
That's your original copy?
Yes.
Yes.
So I make a copy of it.
The 3-month stay here is going to be quite costly.
Everything is here.
After a final visit to port control, we have officially entered Seychelles.
Before we can see some of the delights that our stunning new home has to offer, we need to set ourselves up to live here for the next 3 months.
First up, cash. The easiest and most cost-effective way for us is just to use a local ATM.
Second, we need an internet connection to carry on sharing these videos. For that, we find a local SIM card.
Right, so we have a new SIM card and we have an internet connection, although it's very expensive here. That was about 25 quid for 6 gig, and that's because they're on a special offer. so we're gonna have to be careful how we use it.
That was
But-
half price.
Oh, that was, yeah, it was a special offer at half price, so hopefully that offer stays for a while. Okay, back in connection with the world. What would you rush off to see if you'd just arrived in Seychelles? Well, travelling by boat means our priorities are a little different from the average visitor. The top visitor attractions will have to wait whilst we complete a magical mystery tour of the supermarkets, chandlers, boatyards and DIY stores.
Even though we plan to be here for 3 months, it could take over a month to find parts and or get them delivered from abroad. So our priority is checking Florence over from top to bottom to make a list of parts and jobs required. Oh, and we better remove those goose barnacles and weed which grew during our 3 weeks at sea.
At this point we put the cameras down and just concentrated on what we needed to do to get Florence sorted. Booking our haul out, ordering all the parts, just getting enough anti-foul to paint her was tricky because there was a shortage of anti-foul in the islands. And we also spent a lot of time editing all the footage that we took whilst crossing the Indian Ocean because it's too rough for us to edit whilst we're at sea. So you get to skip to the good bits. Our patrons Steve and Joe had said that they were coming out here on holiday before we left across the Indian Ocean, and they asked if there was anything they could bring. Now we were desperate for a new laptop battery and new batteries for the drone, things which we knew we wouldn't be able to get in Seychelles. So we jumped at the chance and they brought them out for us, along with a whole host of other goodies. We met up with them for a beer and we got on so well that we spent a lot more time together during their time in Seychelles. After recently learning to scuba dive during our lockdown in Indonesia, we were keen to jump in the water here in Seychelles and try our first group dive experience. Luckily, Steve had the same plan, so we joined him, his friend Will and Will's daughter Charlotte to see what Seychelles had to offer under the water.
We did on Monday, and then today was second.
This was our first time diving as part of a big group after learning in Indonesia one-to-one with Marco. It's not the best time of year for diving here in Seychelles as it's windy season, meaning that the water is more churned up and cloudy. But there's always something to see.
It was great for my confidence to jump in the water somewhere other than where we've learned to dive. It proved to me that we can do it and can now carry on our diving adventure in many places around the world.
After spending a long time sat in the anchorage next to the marina to get jobs done, it was time to explore some of Seychelles' charms. We don't have to go far, just 2 miles in fact.
So we've just come out to Long Island, which is only a couple of miles away from the anchorage we've been in for ages doing all the jobs on Florence. and it's absolutely stunning here. And there's supposed to be an abandoned resort, which we're going to go and try and see if we can find.
It's such a huge building, and this is just one of them. I've seen about 10 in the trees so far.
I thought we'd have to go wandering across the island to try and find it, but it's massive and it seems to be all around the island. It's here just where we've come ashore, just behind the trees. There's all the plans up here for the resort. This must have been where they ran the building of it from.
Really?
Yeah, come and have a look. There we go, March 2009. So not that long ago. All the plans for what they've been doing. This must have been where they ran it all from. It's a complete and utter mess now.
Such a stunning location. This pier is just idyllic. It's sheltered by a few of the other islands, and there's just a turquoise lagoon.
The story is that there was a businessman who came along a long time ago, well 10, 15 years ago, and he paid for the prison that used to be on this island to be moved onto the mainland to free up this to be a resort. And they started building the resort, but they never finished it, and it's just been abandoned.
There's a building that looks like it could have maybe have been intended as the restaurant or something. Over there, a main building. We'll see if we can find that through the trees. Think would have been either the restaurant or maybe the reception area, but the view from here is absolutely stunning. Such a shame it's not been finished, but then if it was, I guess it would be so exclusive that we wouldn't be allowed here anyway. There are so many buildings here. This one's a bit more finished. We think this was maybe the staff accommodation, or at least intended as the staff accommodation.
There's beds and mattresses in there, so I reckon that's where the people that were building the place lived. But the wood's all rotten along the front there, so you can't really walk along. Must be what it's like around Chernobyl, where everybody moved out on a very, very much smaller scale. Spooky. So this one's been more finished. God, this would have been amazing. Here an infinity pool, and I guess with a few less trees you have a pretty good view. Maybe this one was more finished because the people that were building the place lived here.
Now it's a luxury home for this gecko. Morning! Oh, sorry. Steve and Joe were incredibly kind to us during their time in Seychelles, and it was great to be able to say thank you by taking them out for the day on Florence. Steve and Joe are sailors, but after many charter holidays on catamarans, it's been a long time since they've been on a monohull, and it's windy season.
So what's it like to actually hound Florence after watching her on screen for so long?
Awesome, just awesome.
Yeah.
Just as advertised. Well, I haven't helmed a monohull for several years, so it doesn't take long to get back into it. It's a lovely boat to sail, and thanks for giving us the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for looking after us. He's not got the easiest of tasks. It's kind of pretty breezy. It's been up over 20 knots, 25 knots. And we've got 3 reefs in the mainsail and the staysail on, which is pretty windy configuration, but it's good. Well, for us, it's really nice to actually have some people on board that that follow us and just take you guys out for a sail.
We're very grateful. It's
not
lovely.
often that we get to meet the people that are so generous and support us, and even better to go sailing with you, so we're enjoying it too.
The treat.
We are here in the windy season for Seychelles because it means that there's been good wind for us to sail across the ocean to get here. It's great to have the wind for sailing around the islands, but the rough seas that come along with the wind mean that there aren't many sheltered anchorages to be found.
After a stop for lunch and a swim, it was Joe's turn on the helm.
Seychelles is a great place to have a yacht to explore with. Along with exploring here on the main island of Mahi, we hope to get out and explore a couple of the other islands whilst we're here. All of the locals have told us that we have to visit La Digue, as it's their favourite island.
Jo showing her expert prowess at monohull helming. Gusty, difficult conditions, she's on it.
Not so gusty at the moment.
It is gusty.
It is gusty.
It is
Howling
gusty,
through the rigging. Next time.
We're finally heading to La Digue, and this is the island that everybody in Seychelles talks about.
But the main problem is the sea state. We're bouncing around quite a lot. Well, it's not a problem for Florence. It's a bit of a problem for Amy and I. We're both feeling a bit queasy, which for me is the first time in a very long time that that's happened.
If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and click the bell to get a notification when the next video is released. And let us know what you think of the video. We love reading all your comments.
We would like to thank everyone who supports us, and especially our star patrons. If you enjoy reading about sailing adventures as well as watching them, then check out Hooked on the Horizon, a fantastically written book about the circumnavigation of 32-foot Blue Eye, sailed by our friends Tom and James. They left England around the same time as us, and Florence even gets a mention in the book. The link to where you can find the book in both hard and soft copy is in the description below. Have you seen the one coming up behind you?
I think it's time to get out.